Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for another episode of Antonio's Movie Reviews. Today I have the 1982 romance movie Summer Lovers starring Peter Gallagher, Daryl Hannah, and Valerie Quennessen. I want to begin by saying that this movie really stood out for me for its portrayal of Santorini, Greece. That has always been a place I've wanted to see since viewing this movie. The plot of this movie is centered around a couple visiting Santorini. Michael is played by Peter Gallagher and Cathy is played by Daryl Hannah. The movie itself seems to be about just partying on the beach with Cathy occasionally studying art and Michael scooting around the island until one day he comes across Lina, a French archaeologist working in Santorini. Lina is played by Valerie Quennessen and definitely has an alluring beauty about her. The movie was directed by Randall Kleiser. Great photography.
We're really here.
We're really here.
I can't tell you how this place turns me on.
Mike, good morning.
It's a great morning. All right, come on up here.
Michael soon becomes infatuated with Lina, and their powerful attraction for each other seems to intrigue Michael in a way which he cannot fully understand right away, in my opinion. I feel as if this American couple from Connecticut were just so entranced by the uninhibited nature of the people from Santorini that they themselves just wanted to let loose and sort of experience a free summer of adventure. Michael goes exploring on his own. I commend the director, Randall Kleiser, for at least having the gumption to realize that location was at least if not more important than the story itself, which some may consider to be lackluster for the most part. I honestly think the movie could do so much better in today's market with there being so many more nomads and adventurers today surely than there were in 1982. I truly believe that the story of this movie was definitely before its time, and the fact that the world was in a much more reserved place in 1982, I'd say. So their openness with their sexuality would have been much more frowned upon had it occurred in the USA at that time. The dialogue of the movie isn't all that great, and there truly isn't much of it in that regard. You'll find yourself mesmerized at the scenery and totally overlooking the fact that this movie is a fantasy and that Peter Gallagher is a very lucky guy to have been chosen to play this role.
Okay, Cathy, I've had enough.
Come on, Michael, you like it.
Don't hunch your shoulders. You have beautiful tits. Put them back.
Michael is completely besotted, probably asking his girlfriend Cathy to spice things up in the bedroom just to take his mind off of her, but nevertheless, here she is.
Do you want to know my sign?
Not particularly.
Good.
Michael accompanies Lina to a nude beach where she hastily strips down, and so does he, apparently with a bit of reluctance. I would be a bit shy too, I suppose. I honestly feel like at that time he just had no idea how to act because he couldn't describe his feelings. Of course, that feeling of not knowing how to act is expressed with Michael confessing to Cathy about Lina and telling her that he feels confused as to where his life is headed. Having to choose between two beautiful women, poor guy.
I do love you. I don't know.
You stink, you know that?
Cathy goes out to a nightclub in a rush to meet someone for herself, but that little squabble may have indeed been exactly what Michael was looking for, and he promptly rushes off to Lina's. Personally, she had to have felt terrible inside, in my opinion. She handled this entire thing very unexpectedly. I mean, she could have just gotten hysterical instead of building up this anger that she did and wheeling herself out for a night on the town alone in a foreign country. While Michael is having a cliffside romance, we see Cathy being courted by men she has no interest in.
Come on.
The girl you live with. I can see both of you from here too, you know.
This is the kind of movie you'd be exposed to really late at night watching the Impact channel, and out of curiosity, just leave it playing. Another example of her handling this well.
What are you talking like that for?
Oh, I know. Goody Cathy doesn't say things like that.
In regard to Michael asking why she reacted the way she did, here is a prime example of someone having probably been only in one relationship. If this movie hadn't ended in his favor, he would have been miserable and stricken with unfathomable grief. Cathy made a daring decision to confront Lina, which to our surprise goes well, with Cathy apparently smitten by the French archaeologist as well. It seems as if Lina is a free spirit and doesn't plan to steal Michael away from her, and condemns jealousy and insecurity as well. It's apparent that she can tell that Michael and Cathy love each other very much.
I came here to simplify my life.
Why?
She's very interesting.
Oh.
Lina. Thanks.
You amaze me.
Late Bronze Age buried this island beneath a thick layer of lava ash.
There she is.
In retrospect, I believe it was really brave and mature of Cathy not to behave in a way that I expected, and to basically embrace Michael's sexual awakening and ultimately partake herself. Santorini was absolutely stunning, and the truth is that they were on vacation, and I believe she simply tried to come to terms with the fact that one day they would leave and this would all be over. That's just my opinion. Must have been quite awkward.
I wanted to follow both of you.
Michael says he wants to be with them both, and Cathy is at first upset.
What now?
As Michael spends more time exploring his infatuation for Lina, Cathy begins to open up towards Lina more, and they begin to spend all of their time together as a trio in a montage of more punishingly beautiful scenes of Greece. Although this movie lacks much in the area of having a story, to me there was not much to not like about it. I definitely consider it a guilty pleasure of mine, even though I don't often delve into movies made this early in the 80s. To sum this movie up, I would say that it was about a couple who travel to a beautiful island and embark in a summer of sexual liberation. To some, the concept of a movie like this may even sound like a horrible idea, but I praise Kleiser for at least trying to masquerade it as serious, as if it could be seen as anything more than what it truly is.
Hey, it's a party.
Yeah. That's
Peter Gallagher really played this role well, in my opinion. Doesn't seem easy.
My pants are falling down and I needed protection from Cosmo. You want?
This scene was very realistic to me, as it seemed Lina became jealous of Michael and Cathy's relationship in a non-sexual way. She must have been contemplating if she wanted that.
Lina!
Lina changes her mind and brings the couple breakfast the next day. Randall Kleiser has also directed a movie similar to this called Blue Lagoon, which is a romantic survival drama starring Brooke Shields and Christopher Atkins. Kleiser is mostly known today for having directed Grease in 1978. Summer Lovers also has a score that I really enjoyed and fits well with the scenes in the movie. That, combined with its scenery, and the fact that the acting isn't startlingly bad, makes for at least a watchable movie, I'd say. After seeing this movie for this review, I started researching the location to find that you can actually rent the villa that Michael and Cathy stayed in Santorini. The story is almost forgettable, but the fact that one of my favorite movies is Wall Street, which came in 1987 and included Daryl Hannah, probably kept it relevant in my mind perhaps. I like the movie in the sense that to me the story is indeed somewhat fascinating and that it doesn't end badly, which is another surprise in Summer Lovers. In a way, it's sort of hard to admit that I like this film, since I honestly enjoy more complex plots, but as I said before, it's a guilty pleasure of mine. In terms of Daryl Hannah, I can't say she is relatively known for stellar acting, and in that regard, I guess neither is Peter Gallagher. I do seem to like all of his movies though. I can imagine this movie may seem dated for a lot of young people, but I've always been entranced by 80s and 90s culture myself. One thing I realized is that there are just tons of beautiful people throughout this movie, and that in actuality would be controversial in these times. Not everyone on the beach is simply that astonishing. I find myself wanting to immediately start working out before getting to Santorini, and a lot of people may be turned off by that in this movie. As time progresses, the once inhibited couple seem to grow more and more comfortable with their new situation.
Relax, Michael.
I can't live like this.
By this time, the trio are much more than good friends, obviously, with their intimacy spilling over into real-life events such as Lina's accident and the arrival of Cathy's parents. I guess this goes without saying, but the movie does include a few dramatic elements.
Hey, what's the matter? Didn't you like my fireworks?
You okay?
We thought we'd surprise you two. Surprise?
Who's there, Michael?
Good guy.
Oh, actually, in Greek mythology, freedom.
Speaking of dramatic elements, while viewing this film you'll likely get the impression that all of this fun in the sun can hardly last forever, and much to our chagrin, it seems Lina has had to remind Michael that she is not his woman and takes off. Michael, who we know is used to getting his way, is upset by Lina's abrupt departure, and Cathy, being the great woman that she is, decides to cheer him up as if she herself wasn't good enough already. She handled that very well also. In a way, I was getting mad for her myself. Meanwhile, Lina runs off with that very nice guy from the beach that yanked her arm and ripped her shirt. She must have been tired with the looming fact that this entire tryst with Michael and Cathy would inevitably end at some point.
Excuse me. Is Lina working today? My friend Lina.
It's not just Michael missing Lina, I'd also like to reiterate. Cathy had sacrificed a lot in my opinion. Michael and Cathy go all over looking for Lina, probably in fear that something may have happened to her, I have to presume, although the movie knows not to take that route. The couple's time on the island is growing short nonetheless, and it seems Michael has finally come to terms with the fact that at least he's not leaving empty-handed.
You want to go home, Michael?
When the couple finally packs up to leave, Lina arrives. All in all, I must say I really liked this movie for its aestheticism by way of its portrayal of Santorini. The way that it was shot probably booked a ton of flights. I like the film also for its creative storyline and that the actors to me seemed to at least have cared about their roles. With that being said, I really recommend Summer Lovers 1982, directed by Randall Kleiser and starring Peter Gallagher, Valerie Quennessen, and Daryl Hannah. I also want to say Happy New Year to everyone. Sorry I've been inconsistent, and I appreciate you all for your continued support. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Antonio's Movie Reviews, and I'll see you soon.